They wanted me to ask you, have we determined why these students were up on the roof?
Because they were. No, we don't know why.
Can you just explain what happened today?
Sure. Actually, this is going back over the course of several months. As we know already, on August 15th of 2019, William Lang, age 18, of the town of Penfield, while on the roof of the Bay Trail Middle School on Scribner Road, town of Penfield, fell through the skylight, landing on the floor below, suffering serious injuries. A friend of his, Miles Lieber, age 18, also the town of Penfield, thank God, did the right thing, stayed and called 911, summoning first responders to the scene, where he was then transported to Strong Hospital, where he received the treatment that I'm fairly safe in saying I believe that saved his life. That initiated an investigation by the Monroe County Sheriff's Office in conjunction with the Penfield Central School District, where a total of 9 individuals were identified as being on school property illegally that night. As a result of that investigation, going between October 1st and December 2nd of this year, all 9 were arrested for criminal trespass in the 3rd degree, which is a B misdemeanor, and charged in the town of Penfield court.
Why did it take such a long period of time to both arrest and identify? You know, I mean, you're looking
Sure.
at, 60, 65 days.
Right. The investigation took a while. We had to determine who the individuals were, so it took our criminal investigation section a little bit of time to be able to piece that together. So once they did, it was then working with the individuals who, this is not a case where we went out and hunted them down. We made arrangements for them to come turn themselves in, which they all did. So it took a little bit of time to coordinate that also.
And knowing that, I mean, Mr. Lang was identified very early on, obviously.
Correct.
So why was he not arrested until yesterday?
Well, he was in the hospital, so we wanted to give him an opportunity to, recover. Like I said, he did sustain very, very serious injuries, which, thank God, the skill of the doctors that worked with him I was not there when he was arrested, but speaking with my sergeant yesterday afternoon, who said he's made a remarkable recovery. So obviously, given that, we wanted to give him time. Him getting medical treatment was the first priority. We wanted to make sure that was done.
So he was finally discharged yesterday.
No, he's been discharged for a little bit.
Okay.
We just finally made the arrangements to have the arrest done yesterday.
How did the investigation unfold? How did you get 9 people?
Hard work, good old-fashioned police work, talking to individuals, gathering evidence, and that pointed us in the direction of these individuals. So just talking to people and getting information as it was coming in, putting the pieces together, and identifying the individuals.
Well, you had 2 people that you knew obviously
Correct.
were involved. Did they lead you to any of the other individuals? That were?
I'm not going to get into a lot of the specific details of the investigation. Obviously, sometimes if we reveal certain things, it can hamper further investigations down the road. This still is an ongoing investigation, so I don't want to say anything that might interfere with that in any way.
Were they all on the roof? All of those, or were some on the ground, or some on the roof? Can you go into that a little?
Right. They were all on Penfield School property. We know that some of them were on the roof. That's what we know at this point.
To be on the property, is there hours that they're not supposed to be? I mean, is it public? I don't know the answer.
Right.
So I'm asking you.
Correct. This occurred at 12:30 at night, 30 minutes after midnight. So, they were not allowed to be on school property at that time, and they were no longer students at the school.
How'd they get up there? Do we know? Is it something that's fixed now that kids can't still, or people can't get on the roof?
Not 100% certain how they got up there.
What were the ages of them?
It's in the release.
Okay.
I believe it's all mostly 18. I remember off the top of my head at least one 19 in there. So that at age 18
Are they
to
all
19.
Penfield High School graduates?
Yes.
All 9 of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Just again, can you speak to how fortunate Mr. Lang is at this point?
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes as humans, we tend to make a bad decision and then compound that bad decision with another bad decision. His friend, Mr. Lieber, made a bad decision by being up there that night, but then reversed course and made an incredibly brave decision, in my opinion, to stay. I mean, here's a young man, and I think we were all young at one point and made a bad decision, and you're, like, a lot of times your first impulse is to run, and he didn't. He knew he was somewhere he wasn't supposed to be. Something bad just happened, and he stayed and accepted responsibility for what he did and didn't run and called 911. Got first responders to respond there to save his friend. And I don't believe that in any way that if he hadn't have done that, if we had found this young man the next day, I don't believe he'd be alive. So, hats off to him for, he's a young man, he made a wrong decision, but then he made a really right decision right after that. So I think that saved his friend's life.
Is there damage to the school? And I don't think there was any charges related to damage to the school. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, it's not. No charges related to the damage. No, the only damage that I recall was just to the skylight that he fell through.
How is Mr. Lang now? I know he's out of the hospital. He's been out. Can you give us any indication?
Right.
How he's
Just
doing?
from our interaction with him yesterday, he appeared to be doing very well. Obviously, not a medical diagnosis, but from what we were able to see, he seems to be doing very well. And that night of this incident, we weren't sure he was going to live. So it is really, we were very shocked and had a very happy way that he is doing as good as he is. I mean, he came in here and yesterday to be issued his appearance ticket, and to see him just walking and talking and behaving like a normal young man after what he had been through was we're very thankful for that.
Did any of the other defendants come forward on their own?
No.
So these are all misdemeanor. Trespassing is the only charge.
Correct.
Basically, kids being kids, is that why they're, I mean, we're not really going into why they were up there.
Right.
Just because they were, but I mean.
That's my assumption. Yeah. They didn't specifically, say why they were there, but I was 18 at one point, so I imagine if I was on the roof of a school at 18, I'd have done it because I could do it. So it wasn't anything like there was no part of some larger story. They were up there to do something. Yeah, that's my assumption. This is kids being kids.
They told me to ask that at the time we heard they were up there to maybe smoke something. I mean, that was the rumor going around, so didn't find any evidence of that.
Yeah, at this point, it's like I said, it's an ongoing investigation, so we're still looking into all that.
Okay.
Could
Could there potentially be more students charged, do you believe? Or do you
If
think
we
some
get
of
more,
all nine?
right, no, if we get more information that there were other people up there, no, they would be facing the same charge as the defendants that have already been arrested.
How are you able to prove that all nine were there?
Like I said, we got information in that they were up there. The investigators conducted an investigation. We were able to corroborate that and show probable cause that they were there.
So what's next for these students, or these ex-students?
Right, now it'll go to the courts. Penfield Town Court.
When do they
You know
appear?
when that is? Yeah.
I do not have their appearance off the top of my head, no, I'm sorry. But I'm sure if you contact Penfield Court, they can give you that.
Anything else we need to know?
No, I think that's about everything. I will say, just one last thing. Speaking with Penfield School District, they did want me to pass on to the public that any future incidents of trespass on the school grounds like that, they will press charges, and this is for public safety. Obviously, we never want something like this to ever happen again, and we're hoping that it doesn't. So, if word gets out to the youth of our community that if this is something that behavior they engage in, that they will be facing an arrest, we hope that provides an incentive not to do that, because ultimately, the goal of this is to never have something like this ever happen again. In this case, I think we got extremely lucky that it wasn't more tragic than it was, and we don't want to run that risk again. We want to, we want the community to be safe, and we don't want them to engage in behavior that could potentially end a life.
Can you specify Mr. Lang's injuries?
No, I'm sorry, I don't have his specific injuries.
But when he was here yesterday, was he up and walking?
Oh,
and
yeah. Yes.
So he was moving.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's
Amazing.
amazing, I think is a good word for it. Yeah, it's amazing.
If there are no more questions, thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
Thanks
coming
doing
out,
this, Will.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.